Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple. After an opening day 4-0 win for United against Chelsea, the Carabao Cup provided an opportunity to assess how both teams and managers had progressed. The match ended 2-1 to United, thanks to a Rashford double and a consolation from Batshuayi. But let's assess the tactics that both managers used that led to this. And if you want to keep up with your favorite teams and players, check out OneFootball. It's the best football app, giving you score updates, statistics, and news, and it's completely free. Get it through the link in the description to support the channel, and there will be more in-game breakdowns coming up, so subscribe if you want to see that. A quick reminder of the formations. Chelsea lined up in a strong 4-3-3 to begin the match. In response, United started with a 3-5-2. Now let's dig into the tactics, starting with what Chelsea did on the ball. When Chelsea had the ball deep, they tended to build up in a basic U shape when building up from deep, with two centre-backs withdrawn, which would free up the full-backs to push on beyond them. However, in the first half especially, where United were defensively solid, they countered this in two ways. If they wished to sit deeper, they often used a 5-2-3 shape, being sure to keep an eye on Jorginho, whilst their high full-backs would cut off Chelsea's own full-backs. Gilmour and Kovacic were often high up the pitch, meaning that there was a lack of a midfield link to progress the attack, meaning that the centre-backs or Caballero were often forced long, and with the three centre-backs against Batshuayi, it was usually a fruitless endeavour. But United could also choose to press high. Usually the narrowness of the 5-3-2 would mean that they couldn't cover the width of the pitch effectively to press a back four. But as the Chelsea's fullbacks were so high, on the ball they were more of a back two, meaning that the United fullbacks could cover the Chelsea fullbacks. Rashford and James would press the centre-backs, and Lingard positioned himself so his cover shadow cut out Jorginho and he could press Caballero. In the build-up phase, Kovacic was often slow to provide an option to create a numerical advantage, so McTominay could cover him either way. Interestingly, this pattern of play led to goals for both teams. For Chelsea, United pressed, forcing Caballero long, and this was one of the few times Batshuayi won the ball aerially, and the United centre-backs were too far apart to make their numerical advantage count, eventually leading to the goal. But this is also what led to United's first penalty. The ball breaks to Alonso, and as discussed, Wan-Bissaka attacks the fullback, and McTominay pressures Kovacic, leading to a turnover and eventually a penalty. Lampard adapted in the second half. Either they would spread the back four deep across the pitch or push Jorginho between the centre-backs, as he's a better option than Caballero. Either way, they spread the pitch, making it harder for a narrow front three to cover it. But when Chelsea got past the press, they preferred to attack wide to take advantage of the wide space of United's shape. Kovacic would often move deep into the left half space, whilst Alonso was keen on the overlap. This allowed Pulisic the freedom to move into zone 14 and try to create something. This would mean either a centre-back moved out of position to track him, or they caused a numerical mismatch centrally. The ball could then be switched wide to Alonso to cross, which notably led to a big Hudson-Odoi chance. On the right, Hudson-Odoi hugged the touchline, preferring to take on Williams and attempt the cross himself, ending with a game-high 9 attempted crosses. But United were organised in defence, dropping into a narrow 5-4-1 or 5-3-2. Interestingly, Chelsea didn't extensively use side overloads and switches to isolate the United wing-backs and create gaps, which could have been effective against the 5-3-2. So, how did United behave on the ball? When building up from deep, they spread the pitch well, pushing the fullbacks high and wide to allow the three centre-backs wide enough to make it harder to press them high, which Chelsea didn't do often anyway, often dropping into a 4-5-1. The United front three had great movement. Naturally, they were outnumbered in the midfield, so instead they would rotate into the wide channels to give the outnumbered fullbacks support in the wide regions. On the United right especially, with Alonso high and Pulisic sometimes central, this would allow them to create space in the channels, with one of them supporting the fullback and the other making a run beyond to move the defense out of position. The fullbacks were very willing to provide the width, as Lingard stayed central to prevent a central overload against them. But a major ploy for them was on the transition. Chelsea often pushed both fullbacks right up the pitch to take advantage of the united shape. With two pacey forwards, comfortable attacking the flanks in Rashford and James, they would look to transition into the gaps left behind by the fullbacks as often as they could. However, no goals came directly from this. In the end, the United win came down to two set-piece moments, meaning that Solskjaer has now bested Lampard twice. But as always, not every tactic could be covered, so comment anything else you noticed below and we can have a discussion in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, a like and a subscribe would go a long way. But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.